Hello everyone, it's the Axle Shifter here, and I am back with the next Multiverse Wars episode number 74. And today we have yet another Marvel vs. DC matchup. Bane versus Kingpin, the two absolute big jobbers who are pretty much created solely just to match up with the main hero. But not just that, they also have deep backstories that help them build up as characters and make them more iconic and more recognizable. Bane for DC and Batman, and Kingpin for Marvel / Spider-Man / Daredevil, because, he's a Daredevil / Spider-Man rogue, technically speaking. So, yeah. Anyways, I think let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight into this fight and who would win. Let's go. Bane was a man born in the prison of Pena Diro, where he would have to serve a life sentence in the place of his father. He grew up in the prison and ended up killing one of his fellow prisoners. Also, the guards did bestow a name upon him, Bane, being the bane of everyone else's existence. The prison guards locked up Bane in a pit for 10 years as penance. They did expect him to die, but of course he survived and became the legend to the other inmates. Bane trained his mind and his body and was eventually chosen for a test subject for a drug called Venom. Bane was the only subject who survived the test and was subsequently given surgery so that the drug could be injected directly into his brain, which doesn't sound like a very good thing. And after faking his own death to escape the Pena Diro prison, Bane returned to free his inmates and eventually even killed the warden and steal the helicopter so he can travel to Gotham City, home of the Batman, the one that Bane wanted to destroy. Bane would go once again and allow free the inmates from Arkham, allowing them to wear down Batman and eventually weaken him. This would allow Bane to break into Wayne Manor and incapacitate Alfred just in time for Batman to return. Bane then proceeded to beat down Batman before then ultimately breaking his back, creating one of the most iconic comic book panels in history, making him the only one to have ever broken the bat. Bane eventually ruled over Gotham City until he was defeated by Azrael, although he would eventually escape prison and become a reoccurring villain for the Dark Knight. And at some point, Bane would come to believe that his father was Thomas Wayne, which would make him the half-brother of Batman, actually. And while this was eventually proven false, of course, it did allow Bane to spend time with Batman and sort of, bond with him, yes, you could say, in some weird way, which did lead him to beginning a journey to find his real father. And during this journey, Bane would find redemption, stopping several criminals and nearly sacrificing his life to save Batman. But of course, after this arc ends, Bane eventually reverted back to being the main villain we all know and love, really. Or at least a main Batman rogue. That main villain status would go to the Joker, of course. But now, let's talk about his powers, abilities, and feats. In terms of AP and durability, Bane has a lot of really good strength feats in that range, like lifting a boulder and throwing it at Batman, or tossing a barbell plate so hard that it actually split a guy's head in half. He even ripped off prison bars and slammed someone against the wall with them. He's even strong enough to lift Killer Croc, who weighs over 300 pounds. He also punched a demon so hard that he shattered the concrete wall behind it. But at his best, he can fight on par with Batman on multiple occasions, and he is stated to be second only to him as far as being a perfect physical specimen, which would put him at around building level in terms of AP and durability, since plenty of other Bat Family characters or street tier DC characters scale in that range. And considering that he survived Batman tasing him with a taser while underwater, acid being dropped on his face, and overcame Scarecrow's fear toxin, yeah. But his strength can be scaled even higher thanks to Venom, the drug that he uses. With this drug, he can break Killer Croc's arm and defeat him with a single kick, and is stated to be as strong as the Venom-amped bird, who can crack Azrael's ribs. And Azrael's the same guy who can take gunfire with no damage, even without any armor. and even then, his armor is durable enough to tank a plane exploding with little to no damage. So at his best, Bane with Venom should scale to building level and all the other feats I just mentioned. And as for speed, he can keep up with Batman and other members of the Bat family, of course. His feats include dodging a batarang thrown by Red Robin, aka Tim Drake, cutting a man's hand off before he can shoot it, could speed blitz 3 guards, can tag Catwoman, and he again scales to Batman, who can catch a cricket ball while weakened, and at the average speed of a cricket ball that's thrown by a fast bowler is around 130 to 140 kilometers per hour, which when converted to miles is around 80 to 86 miles per hour. Plus, Bat family members have dodged bullets several times, so Bane should scale to that as well, considering that he can keep up with them. So putting him at around supersonic to hypersonic combat reaction speeds, I say, is pretty fair. Plus, his travel speed is around superhuman, since it's stated by our man that normal humans cannot even move at boost speeds like Bane can. Next is intelligence, and this is where Bane really has the bag in with this one. Bane is a genius, because even when he was still in prison, he can speak 6 languages after reading 3 books in a day. He also read all the books in the Pianadiero library, which all of them were thousands, and he can read many more books that were smuggled into him. He was also able to figure out Bruce Wayne's identity, that being Batman of course, not to mention that he is a master strategist and a student of every military leader and conqueror in history. Plus, he is also able to recognize a chess play even though he had never seen a chessboard before. And merely a day later, he was even challenging Ra's al Ghul in a game of chess. And Ra's stated that Bane is an equal to the greatest minds that he had ever known. And additionally, he is even a skilled chemist and could recreate Venom with only a little bit of help. He is also a highly skilled fighter, as he broke Batman's back before, as I said before, in Batman Nightfall, and can fight on par with him, as well as easily defeating a group of Venom-amped thugs. He also took down a group of Batman's Rogues Gallery while they were powered by Venom themselves when Bane himself is injured. And lastly, he also defeats Flashpoint's Batman in a spar. Now for his gear, equipment, and other abilities. First, his harness that supplies him with Venom, which makes him stronger than he already is. Though I do believe that he did swore it off eventually, but we're still going to be using it for this debate though, because I think it makes it more interesting. His other weapons include a sniper rifle, a rocket launcher, a flashlight, a gun that fires darts of venom, a net gun, and weirdly enough, a stuffed bear with a knife hidden inside of it. Okay, I guess. But despite everything going for him, Bane does still have his weaknesses. Firstly, removing the tubes feeding him venom will cause him to lose his enhanced strength, and using more of the venom does cause him to gain dependency. However, after his defeat at the hands of Azrael at one point, he did swear off Venom and overcame his dependency, so it's not really an issue though. But again, we're used for this debate, so if an opponent does manage to cut it off, I guess he can still be weakened in that sense. But overall, he may not be perfect, but you can expect the bane of your existence to break you and not look back. Kingpin, aka Wilson Fisk, is a major fictional Marvel character and a supervillain that originated in the Spider-Man comics, though he is a major enemy of Daredevil as well, reoccurring as a recurring villain for both of them, and even the Punisher as well in more recent years. Wilson was born in a dysfunctional family. His parents were constantly arguing and quarreling. He was also bullied by his peers because of the simple fact that he was overweight. Wilson committed to his first murder when he was 12, first from the start. He was then determined to be the best in whatever he did, and believed physical strength to be a major factor in building power within the underworld. Hence, his transformation into the Kingpin. But before that, he highly trained himself in various methods of bodybuilding and combat, personally and finally concentrating in the Japanese art of sumo. His sumo training probably led to his interest in the Orient, which would later manifest itself in other ways. In addition to this, he also had a high devotion to his physical strength, as you could obviously notice. He realized the importance of his intelligence. Being from a poor family, his normal formal education was sadly limited. He then became self-taught as a result of that, acquiring or borrowing or even sometimes outright fucking shoplifting, because, crime, books from libraries and bookstores, or just whatever he could find. Although Fisk learned a great deal about the science and the arts, he became particularly fascinated in political science, as you can once again tell by his character, and he decided that another key to his success would be using political techniques in organizing and direct groups of criminals. And by the age of 15, he was using administrative techniques to organize his growing gang of criminals and earning the nickname the Kingpin of crime. In terms of AP, strength, and durability, he once tore down an entire staircase from a wall, crushed a large rock with his bare hands, crushed a man's skull with his bare hands, or at least one hand, and could lift over 1,245 pounds. He also punched Spider-Man through a concrete wall, and also killed a demon with a single punch. Okay, both of these guys killed demons. What the hell? Okay, then again, this is comics. But anyways, he is also comparable to Daredevil, who can destroy statues and walls. And Fisk even defeated Red Skull, an equally strong cloned copy of Captain America's body. So he should be around building level at his peak. Now for speed, he once saved a child from a car, killed 4 gang members in 6 seconds, caught a boomerang thrown by the character Boomerang, and could keep up with Daredevil again, who is stated to be one of the fastest street heroes in all of Marvel, being able to consistently dodge, block, and deflect bullets with ease, and even outclass almost everyone in this regard with no effort at all. He was also stated to be faster than T'Challa without his Black Panther powers, and as well as being confused with a super being. Yeah, not a human, so Kingpin should scale to all of this, considering that he can fight on par with Daredevil, and also his speed was stated to be on a near superhuman level, and is often complemented by characters such as Wolverine and Captain America, who aren't even able to touch Daredevil if he doesn't want to be, and Kingpin can once again fight on par with them and scale with them. So in terms of travel speed, he is superhuman, but for combat and reaction speed, he is hypersonic, since, Marvel characters 3 tiers, Next is intelligence, and he is highly gifted as far as education goes and political science. He is also very manipulative and pretty clever, as he has tricked many superheroes over the years, like Spider-Man and Daredevil, and even maintains one of the largest criminal empires in the world. He's also a highly skilled chess player and is fluent in several languages. In addition to this, he has a highly skill in hand-to-hand combat. His fighting styles include sumo wrestling, judo, capdido, and many more. His fighting skills and strength, as well as agility, despite how massive he is, does make him a match for Spider-Man and other characters like the aforementioned Daredevil, Red Skull, and even Captain America. Fisk was also capable of defeating 8 men from the finest martial arts schools in over 17 seconds, which proves his high amount of skill. Now for his hacks and gear. Kingpin actually does have a technique called the bear hug, where he grabs someone, the opponent, and crushes them to death. Yeah, kind of dark, but that's what he does. He also has his iconic walking stick that actually contains a concealed laser beam weapon that fires a short pulse of around 300 watts, enough energy to vaporize a handgun. So the walking stick can pretty much be used just to walk around and stuff. I guess he needs it, I don't know. And also can be functionally used as a weapon. The walking stick can also even be used as they use to fire a concentrated spray of sleeping gas. He even has a diamond stick pin, which allows him to contain a small amount and highly compressed container of sleeping gas once again, where it is effective enough when fired directly at the opponent's face at close range, obviously. However, he only uses this diamond stick pin for sleeping gas as a last resort. But despite all of this, he still does have weaknesses, those mostly being normal human weaknesses like getting sick or old age, although this is comics, so they're constantly reverting back to the same age they always were at the beginning, so yeah. Plus, he can still be defeated by Spider-Man and Daredevil and other characters more powerful than himself. But overall, you may try, but the King and Kingpin will always remain true. But now that we've discussed both characters, it's time we talk about who would win this fight. Now, this would be an extremely close battle, as both are super strong, intelligent, beefy boys who have fought against iconic heroes from their respective verses. However, in the end, I would have to say that Bane would be the winner of this fight, and I will tell you why. For starters, both have almost identical stats in terms of strength, attack potency, and durability, so it's hard to say who's stronger for sure, as they're both really powerful in terms of that category. But I would have to give the slightest edge to Bane, given the fact that he has Venom, whereas Kingpin, although he is super strong in his own right, he is still human after all. And yeah, you could say the same thing for Bane as well, but the Venom would give him a slight advantage over Kingpin. Now, the speed is a different case entirely, as I would say that both are still even in this category, as both have superhuman travel speed and hypersonic combat and reaction speeds, so both of them can react to each other as the fight goes on. Now, intelligence, both of them are super smart and skilled fighters, and are highly experienced in several crafts in humanity, pretty much, but it would be pretty close, and still a tie in this category as well. Next is their hacks or gear, you could say. Bane has way more stuff, honestly, like a rocket launcher or a sniper rifle, and the Venom dart gun, as well as the knife with the teddy bear and the knife inside of it for some fucking reason I still don't know. But anyways, whereas Kingpin only really has his walking stick, it may be able to shoot out sleeping gas and disintegrate guns and everything, but he also just uses it as a last resort. And Bane already wears a mask anyway, so it's not like he would be very effective against him. So, in the end, Bane's wider arsenal and Venom would eventually overwhelm Kingpin and put him down. Despite this being an extremely high diff fight for Bane, I still have to say that he would eventually overcome and come out on top. So, in the end, I guess the Bane had broken the Kingpin. The winner is Bane.